The Jackson Transportation Service Center Manager for Michigan Department of Transportation, Kelby Wallace. Kelby, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon.
Good to see you again. Welcome back. Happy New Year.
Thanks, you too.
So with winter weather, do you guys just take the winter off?
So, not quite. You know, we call this like paperwork time of year and training. So we've got, you know, all the work that was done over the summer. We have to go through all those records and make sure that all the math is correct, all the payments are correct. We have all the certifications for all the things that we paid for in our files. And then we start kind of doing our trainings for keeping up on the latest construction technology. And then we actually have meetings to start to prepare for the projects that'll be underway in this summer. So it's a little bit slower because you don't have the daily fire drills, we call them, right? When something goes a little haywire out on a project, you don't have that, but you just got a lot of stuff you want to crunch through to get done while it is slow.
I have a good idea that you can use for future projects. Legos, they're awesome, and they seem to work really well. A lot of integrity in the things you build with Legos. What if we made like big-sized Legos out of, you know, maybe concrete or something, and you just put bridges together by Legos.
So that's something we're starting to do a little bit, and actually out here at our Jackson and Mechanical Railroad bridges, we actually had what we call them precast elements. And normally, when you build a pier or a column that holds up the bridge beams, you form it and you pour concrete, you put steel in it and in place. We're getting to the point now where actually we can design those on paper and we can have those fabricated in a factory, and they bring them out and put them in place, and they use dowel bars to connect them to the top piece, kind of like a heavy duty Lego set. So it's, you know, you're brilliant. I think awesome. You may have a job future at the DOT working on our bridges.
Well, usually my brilliant ideas, once you know, an expert or professional hears me out, they pour water on it. But I'm glad to hear that I'm not too far off the mark.
So we're doing that.
Good. Well, I thought today we could look back at 2023, all the accomplishments, and see what you've got lined up for the coming year.
Sounds great.
Saw it too, as you mentioned, the railroad bridges downtown. Those are awesome. They look great, making a huge difference. Of course, right. 94. You brought a map of some of the things you've been doing in 2023 and what you've got planned for 2024.
Yeah, so here's just kind of a snapshot of some of our non-I-94 projects, and starting kind of at the top of the screen, the top of the north part of the county, we've got a freeway sign replacement where we go ahead and replace all those freeway signs, exit signs, directional signs, speed limit signs, and that's taking place from basically 94 north to the county line and from 94 south to about Floyd, the freeway section over there. So both sections of the 127 freeway in Jackson County are going to get new signs.
Do you use, it seemed like you changed from metal to wood and then maybe changed back to metal, or is there a different?
Yeah, so a lot of times now it depends on the size of the sign. Some of the smaller signs we can go with wood. Once you get bigger signs like the ones that go over top of the freeway, we call those, they're on an actual truss that spans the entire width. Those end up being aluminum. Aluminum tends to last a little bit longer, but it's more expensive. So for those bigger signs, we don't want to have to disrupt traffic frequently, so we go ahead and use aluminum on those. The main reason we're kind of replacing signs is after a while they lose their reflectivity at night, in the dark and in the rain, and that really can actually cause accidents because people don't see, you know, exit signs, they don't see curve signs, they don't see speed limit signs or directional signs, and maybe they make bad decisions. So it really is a safety-based reason why we replace those signs. A lot of times we hear, why are you wasting money on signs? Fill potholes, build, you know, new pavement. But we also need to kind of be cognizant of things that, you know, can improve safety, and signing is one of them.
Well, that makes sense, because it seems like when you see a new sign, they seem so much brighter.
Yes. And that's exactly the reason why we
Yeah.
replace them. They get very faded, just like anything that's out in the sun for 20 to 25 years gets faded,
Yeah.
and it loses our refractive crystals that we have on those signs. And so we put new ones up, and they really pop out at night.
Yeah, they do. All right, so sign replacement, down here in Jackson County, you've got a lot of signal replacements.
Yeah, so that project actually is kind of started. There's some signs out on the road, and it's kind of a long project, but only addresses the actual traffic signals. So kind of starting on the south side of Jackson there, Cooper at South Street. Every signalized intersection is getting some type of treatment. Most of them are getting new poles and new signal heads and new cabinets, which are kind of the electrical guts that control them. And we make these signals smarter when we put them in. They have vehicle detection to go ahead, and they can operate that signal more efficiently. And on the side street, if there's no traffic, they'll keep that red and keep the traffic green on the major street. The cabinets we're also putting in now are actually going to be compatible with autonomous vehicles in the future as we move towards that, so that signals can be sent from the from a traffic signal. A message can be sent to appropriate vehicles to explain that, red light approaching, type of stuff. Real safety enhancements. So, we're not quite there yet, but the technology is being put into our new signals to be able to do that. But there's a lot of coordination, as you can imagine, with the automotive sector on how that stuff's going to work and what type of frequencies are used and whatnot. And that's just kind of way over my head.
Mine too. In the old days, and I don't know if you still do it this way, but you could see at an intersection where it was actually dug up, and you put some sort of sensors in the road that felt the weight of the car and told the traffic signals to turn.
Right.
You still use it?
So we used to call them wire loops. So they were wires that we would use a concrete saw, cut them in there, lay the wire in there, and then we would seal it up. And that's kind of what you see at those intersections. And they worked, but a better technology came along. Now we call them pucks. They're shaped like a hockey puck, and they're only about 3 to 4 inch diameter. And we drill a little hole, and we put that puck down in there, and then we put a little, usually epoxy over top of it. So you can see the little circle in the pavement, and that reads a magnetic field. It can sense the steel, iron in a vehicle, and it will sense that. So when a vehicle pulls over it, it triggers the signal to activate.
Do you actually have to drive your wheel over that?
Nope.
Oh.
Nope. It's kind of got like a magnetic field. So even if you were next to that puck, as long as you were close enough, it senses that. So it triggers that from a magnetic field.
Oh, wow.
Sensor.
So that's great. So it's more than just putting the actual lights on poles.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
all
yeah,
that stuff.
you've got quite a lot. All right, I-94, so a lot of people think you're done with I-94, and they're right. If you're talking about 94 from Airport Road east,
Correct.
that's pretty much, I know
Pretty much
maybe
it.
some landscaping.
Yeah, we've got quite a bit of landscaping to do, and we'll go back and fix the grass. And typically what we have is what we call a punch list. Out of the last 5 years, there's maybe been some things that the contractor missed or were damaged or broken. So we kind of put together a long list, and we're working through that list. So that'll probably go on in the spring, but you hardly notice, that stuff going on because there won't be major lane closures or anything.
It'd be like lawn mowing.
Correct, stuff like that. So our real focus is going to be west of M60. Kind of on the screen right now, that project that's been going on for 2 years now. This is our third and should be our final year of major paving. That's going, most of the work is really from Michigan Avenue near the Parma area towards M60. And we're going to be rebuilding eastbound roadway. Right now that's still in very rough shape. That's the old pavement that's 40 years old. Westbound is rebuilt, but eastbound we're going to be focusing on this year. And then we're also going to be focusing on the Deering Road I-94 interchange, and we're going to rebuild that with 2 roundabouts at the end of those ramps. So kind of modernizing that interchange, adding our overhead lighting at those ramps, and rebuilding those to some current standards. So there are going to be some impacts out there to that west side of the county again this year.
Yeah, when that interchange was first put in, there was no Mackey, there was no Western High School. I mean, the traffic was very minimal.
Right.
Big difference now. And
Yes.
with the new elementary school going in, that will even more increase.
Yeah, so we've been very cognizant of that. We've been discussing our plans for the construction impacts with Mackey plant. We actually have really focusing on doing our interchange at Deering from Memorial Day to Labor Day, which avoids the school traffic, because we know how much that can add between drop-offs, buses, after-school events. It really puts a load on the roadway, and so if we can get most of all that work done up at the interchange, that'll really minimize the impacts to that school traffic.
Good. Over the last several months, anytime I was planning to go west to Parma or Albion, I check, make sure there was not a lot of delay with construction. But during the winter, is it pretty smooth sailing right now?
Yeah, so we really have no work that's going to have any lane closures out there. The work we're doing is kind of some drainage work. We're doing some pipes that are 20 feet below I-94 that you really won't even notice is going on for the whole winter. Other than the plowing and maintaining the snow.
I know that when you announced the diverging diamond interchange at 94 and West and 127, that it was met with a lot of skepticism, but personally now that I've been on it and driven through it several times, it makes so much sense, and I'm not confused. It does seem like it's a brilliant design. What other reviews, what are you hearing?
Yeah, I think we've got some things we're still looking at as far as southbound 127, the speed coming into there, right? Because you're in a freeway setting is back near Parnell Road in Springport even, and then you kind of transition into a more suburban urban setting with the interchange and all the stuff going on West Ave. So the speed limit, we're still working with the Michigan State Police, so that's one thing we want to work through. We've gotten some feedback that folks would like to see that speed limits set lower further north.
But people do seem to come in hot.
Yeah, yep. So we've actually got a smaller message board we're going to have activated out there facing that traffic that's going to actually help warn people. Traffic signal ahead, slow down, working to set that speed limit. But we've enhanced some signing out there and added some more pavement markings to help clear up everything. But other than that, we've gotten really good feedback. Similar to what you said, that apprehension at first seems very confusing if you look at it on a drawing or a map, or if you look at it, a picture of it maybe online because somebody Googles it. But you drive it and it's not that confusing. You follow the signs, the pavement markings. Yep. Takes you where you need to go, and it really addresses the movements that used to cause backups out there. One of them is southbound 127 to eastbound 94. That is very, very smooth now.
All right. Tomorrow it's likely we'll have snow plows out. Is there anything people need to know about being safe and keeping your crews safe?
Yeah, I think a month ago my message probably would have been better served for today to talk about the snow. It's finally here, but just give those snowplow truck drivers space to be safe. We don't want them going 55 miles an hour, because then all the salt they put on the road, it's going to bounce off and not, So we actually have done several research studies that show that optimum speed is anywhere from like 25 to 40 miles an hour. That when you dump that salt on, it scatters and stays on the pavement. Yeah. If you go faster than that, it's going to bounce.
It does.
It does.
I've seen it bounce.
So we ask our truck drivers to drive slow, and that angers people that don't want to drive slow, but they really should for their own safety. We're going to have anywhere from 14 to 19 plow trucks on our state highways in the middle of the storm tomorrow. You start getting into an inch or more an hour, you can't keep up. You can't keep up. But luckily, I think with the start of the storm, we're going to have a reasonable temperature. It's not going to be the single digits that we might be experiencing on Sunday and Monday. So we should be able to clean that storm up nice. If people have some patience Friday night and let us get to it and do our job, then things will be clear for the weekend before it gets cold.
Yeah, so I think you said last time it's not a good idea to pass a snowplow on the highway.
Yeah, there's real limited visibility during a storm. Some of our plow trucks have what we call wing plows, where they actually have a plow that sticks out the side of the vehicle and not just underneath it, because we're trying to do more with less vehicles and plows. We can plow more area, but that means we need more space on the road and don't want people to go ahead and pass us. And that's really true for 94 now that we have 3 lanes in
Yeah.
each direction, and some spots 4. We need all the space we can get to clear that off. Where, 10 years ago there was only 2 lanes there and a very narrow
There wasn't
shoulder.
even room for one. I mean, there was no place to put the snow for so long.
Yeah.
All right, great to have you here. Hope everyone stays safe, everyone on your crew and everyone out and about during the storm. Good to see you.
You too. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. MDOT's Kelby Wallace. Stay tuned. Up next, we have